Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and wow, we're back. We're back. We're back with this wonderful segment that we've been doing called 360 Degrees Health. And I'm just so happy to have Dr. Mantell back today. And we got a special guest that's been on the show. We're so happy to have him because we're going to talk about a lot of great things that is going to enhance all of our lives. And not just that, but it's going to educate us. And we're going to learn a lot. But I can't even begin to start the show without saying hello to the executive producer and co-host, Dr. Michelle Cooley. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Doing great. And we are warming up in temperatures. I think it's right. Let me see. It is 19 degrees right now. So we're getting up there.
Michelle, I'm excited about returning because I think we've been out there with this topic almost a month.
Yes.
A month.
Yes.
And it's so important that we continue to educate our viewers and our listeners on things that are going to make them better, things that's going to enhance their lives, things that they need to know. Because as we age, sometimes we need to make adjustments. So that's why I am so happy to have Dr. Mike Mantell here today. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. And speaking of doing well, whenever I come on as a guest host or as a participant in any way, I always do better. So this is a healing experience. Something you said, Michelle, it just touched me. I thought about this just now. I think that the more we contribute, the more we help other people, and JC, you said this also, the more we lift other people, the better we do. And today's topic on healthy aging, what we call health span, living a long, healthy life, not just a long life. What better gift is there than giving people some nuggets of how to extend their healthy life? So I'm delighted to be a part of this. I'm delighted to be able to join the two of you, and especially to have our wonderful guest on today with us.
Wow. It's always a pleasure, Doc, having you on. And Michelle, I can't wait to get this show on the road. Can you please tell our viewers and our listeners the title of the show, purpose of the show, and introduce this great guest that we have?
Well, most definitely. So the title of the show is 360-Degree Health. Age is, and our guest co-host today, Dr. Michael Mantell, and of course, the host, Dr. James Cooley, they're going to have a sit-down discussion with Dr. Eric Shapira. He's a teacher of geriatric and special needs dentistry, geriatric medicine, nursing and hospital administration, and so many more. And an author as well. And we're going to talk about what it means to be old in our society, how to maintain one's youth, what is the inner child, and how do you nurture it and make the most out of what you have despite the stigma of aging. So let's talk a little bit about our guest today. Dr. Eric Shapira was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. He received a Bachelor of Science degree from Bethany College in West Virginia. He went to the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine and Temple University School of Dentistry in Philadelphia, and had a medical and dental residency at Mount Zion Hospital and Medical Center in San Francisco. He met and married Susan, and they're still running strong after 45 years of marriage. He has his own private practice in dentistry in Half Moon Bay, California for 40 years. He now works per diem in dentistry and has a practice in gerontology and geriatrics named Aging Specialist Inc. for over 20 years. He holds Rotary's highest award for meritorious service and is many times over a Paul Harris Fellow. He has volunteered all over the world in almost 50 years of being a Rotarian. He's published 3 books, a book on healthy aging named A New Wrinkle, What I Learned from Older People Who Never Acted Their Age, and many more. We're going to have him talk to you about, age is just a number and so many things he's doing. Please welcome back to the show, Dr. Eric Shapira.
Thank you.
Hey, Eric, good to have you back.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
There he is.
There it is, the new wrinkle.
It's always a pleasure, Dr. E, to have you back. And, can you hold up that new book of yours?
My new book. Oh my
that-
goodness, it's heavy.
We're gonna talk about that one too. We're gonna talk about that new
It's
book.
a,
We're
it's
gonna
a
talk
thick book.
about all of So congratulations on your new book that just came out.
Thank you.
Dr. E, for people that did not watch the show last time and don't know anything about you, can you please tell our viewers and listeners a little bit more about you? What makes you click? You always happy, and how are you able to do 13 jobs?
I have a multiple personality disorder. That's how. I tell people I'm an OHB, and they say, "What is that?" It's an ordinary human being, and but I try to do extraordinary things with my life and live each day because that's all we have is each day. I've been fortunate to overcome some adversities in my life. I feel like my inner child is part cat because I've had about 6 lives already with all the things I've gone through that were detrimental to my being and my health, but I've overcome them, and that helped me a little bit with my philosophy about aging. There are a lot of aged people in my family, or were, and my grandmother's lived to be over 100. And I tell people when my mother's mother was 85, the doctor told her to walk a mile a day. She's 115 now, and we don't know where she is. I'm waiting for a response.
I got it.
Okay,
I got it.
Okay,
I got it.
so
Hey, Eric,
go ahead.
You talk about your grandparents and so forth, and how long they lived. And in my family, they lived much, much, much less.
Yeah, same with me.
But the number of Americans today, ages 65 and older, is projected to increase dramatically from, I think it's 58 million in 2022 to 82 million over the next 25 years.
That's right.
The population is older today than ever before. And when you look at the older population, it's becoming more racially and ethnically diverse. Education levels are increasing. We see older adults working longer. We know the poverty rate for older folks is dropping. We know that people are taking care of themselves more. So this is going to be a phenomenally important discussion because the audience is growing. So I want to start with a question though for you, and that is this: how does our culture define and perceive old age, and how would it be better for our population to perceive older age?
Good question. When I give a lecture, the first thing I ask the audience is, how many people here feel you're old? Raise your hand. So they raise their hands. And I tell them to put a B in front of it and be bold and to challenge life. So the first thing in my philosophic this thinking and discussion is to have them be bold and realize that it takes strength to grow older in our society. There's a lot of stigma about us, and people feel old. I've found over the years with my surveys when they are infirm in some way. So you get injured, you feel old. I'm old now because I can't do what I used to do. Is kind of like the mindset. But that doesn't mean they can't. But that's what they think. There's a lot of social mores that dictate who's old in this society and who's not. Like, so the Social Security system, you're old when you're 55, you could retire now and get Social Security. And that's your badge of honor now that you're old. That's 55. Other people organizations and so on and so forth classify seniors as 65, AARP. You're old when you're 65. So there's a range of what the society has dictated old is. But mainly people feel old, I feel, when they're infirm, when they're injured, when they're down and out.
So you know that a couple of weeks ago, I was walking to the gym, and I haven't publicized this. So this is for JC's show. But I slipped and fell. Then I broke my kneecap and I broke my elbow. And I have been infirmed with a leg cast, and I haven't been able to go anywhere. And I realized the mindset, something you just touched on, and our listeners need to pay attention to this. When things are going along well, we have a gift of comfort. When things are not going along well, they're going against us, we have the gift of growth. So what is it that we can help people understand that when you have a broken knee and you can't get around, that doesn't mean infirmed, does not mean old. How can we help people understand that?
You're asking me that?
Yes, sir.
Well, I think they need to look within and not without. And I want to read a quote to
please.
To answer your question, if I may. This is from Charles Swindoll, or R. Swindoll. He was a minister. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. It's all about attitude. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It's more important than the past, the education, the money, the circumstances, then failure, then success, than what other people think or say or do. And that's a big part of it. The stigma of what other people think in the face of adversity or what they're looking at. They tend to judge people by their covers. That's my quote, not his. It's more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we'll embrace for that day. It's all about choices. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% of how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. That's from my New Wrinkle book. And I firmly believe that attitude is just about everything.
So you know that before we take our break, the name of my last book is called The Link is What You Think. Because as people understand this, it is all the way we think. I can be sitting here thinking, oh, I'm old and decrepit and life is over. Or, okay, I got a broken bone. It'll heal and get back to the gym. JC, what do you say?
Well, I say, just like what Dr. E said a second ago, it's all about the attitude. It's all about whether we're going to react towards something or we create. And by the way, those are the only two words that mean opposite of each other, got the same words, the same letters in it.
Think about that.
So, and that comes from attitude. I wrote a piece in my last 2 books ago on that, and create and react, and it's all about attitude. But right now, we're going to take a station break. But when we come back, we're going to pick it up with these 2 absolutely fantastic, great doctors, and we're going to delve off into this thing called aging. Age is just a number. That's all it is, especially if you got the right attitude. So I tell you, if you want to be part of the conversation with your platform that you are watching us on, all you have to do is just go to the comments, ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. Yes, your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
I never wanna leave. Yeah, I'm right where I wanna be. We got something you and me, and I can't get rid of this feeling. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have
get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
I've seen a smile convey I love you. I'm proud of who you are. The one that keeps us close when we're apart. Talking from the darkness of all that we've been through. It seems that there might be a way to leave behind the loneliness we've known and live again life of need.
Hello, welcome back to James Cooley Show. It's your life, and my co-host here, Dr. Michael Mantell, and now absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so Dr. Eric Shapira, and we're getting ready to dive off into the topic of today's show because I think it's so important that we all know that certain things as we get older we have to make adjustments. Mindset might have to change, and just making smart decisions and eating right, doing all the right things, just like what Dr. E had mentioned that grandmother was 115 years old and walking and doing all these great things. And I mean, the only way we get there is having the right attitude and the right mindset and having this can-do attitude that you can do anything you set your mind to. And then not, I can't do this because I'm old now. I can't do this. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So I want to pick it up with that. So Dr. E, in society, how is the role of older individuals valued and marginalized in our society? And what type of impact does this have on the sense of purpose and contributed contributions?
Well, I think there's a lot of resources in the elderly and the older person. I think society is missing the boat, especially in the job market, because there's a lot of age discrimination. I'm feeling that as well when I apply for part-time jobs or what have you. People think, oh, well, you're an old guy and you're not going to be worth anything. We need a younger person who's faster, smarter, more savvy, yada, 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 to quote Jerry Seinfeld. But I think that in this day and age, we're missing out on the experience of people. Experience is knowledge. And I tell my students there are no mistakes in life. There's only experience. Experience is based on good judgment, and good judgment comes from bad judgment. How we learn. What do we learn in life? And we've got a lot of experienced people in this world that need to be nurtured in the sense that they need to feel useful. And I think that's another aspect of feeling old, when you don't feel useful. And maybe some people don't know how to become useful. So I think it's important to consider volunteering, working in whatever capacity you can, giving back to your society, your community. These things heighten our sense of worth. And in that sense, it provides value to oneself. And we won't at our age. Well, I don't. I mean, I still feel I have a purpose in life. And I think that's a major key factor, to have a purpose, no matter what it is. Even if you go take some vegetables from your garden and pass them out to your neighbors, you've got a purpose. And I had a patient like that. She lived to be 101. She raised vegetables when she was a kid with her family. Her name was Rena. She was a wonderful lady. She cooked with her food. It was incredible because it was all natural. And the only thing that made her old was her death. She had a bladder infection. She went into the hospital. They gave her the wrong medicine, and she died from a medical issue, a drug issue that she had no control over. But she was spry, and she was going until she was over 101, 102 years old. A great personality, and gave her food away to the community and partook of anything she could. She went to church. She did whatever she could. And never once did I ever hear her say she was old. Never once in all the years. I knew her for 40 years.
How did she do that when the media seems to just bombard us with these negative images of growing old? And what about the impact of media? And in addition to that, we hear these phrases, or these ageistic phrases. Hey, for someone your age, you look great. Or they'll lean over to you and speak louder to you. Or, or hey, you're so sweet and cute. These are like so demeaning. But what about the media? What do you see in the media that is harming us today in terms of aging?
That's a good question, Michael. I think that they're putting people of an older ilk in a box, or boxed in, and then they tend to believe it. I don't, as I said, for the name of this session we're having, is age is just a number. And when I ask somebody how old they are, I never say that. How young are you is what I say. How young are you? It's a stigma. The word old, decrepit, ancient, infirm, all these things create a stigma within the mindset, and people tend to believe that. So how young are you? And they say, well, what do you mean? I'm old. I said, no, you're not. I said, add up the numbers. So I tell people I'm 14. I'm 77 years young in terms of my longevity, but my inner child is 14. I add up the two numbers. I asked and I got this from my wife's mother. She lived to be 101. One day I said, how young do you feel? How old do you feel? I said that in both senses. She said, I feel 18 inside. She was 99 when I asked her. She said she was 99. I said, well, you are 18 inside. If you add up your two numbers, I mean, that's when I got this in my head. She was
a great idea.
18. And she felt that way. She still wanted to have love in her life with a man. She went through a couple after the death of her husband, my father-in-law.
And that's attitude, because someone else in the same state could think about it completely. I'm too old to. I'm too old for. Instead of thinking, the way I look at it is, I will never be this young again. This is the youngest I will be today, right now.
Yeah,
Can't go back, but it's a mindset. So in terms of, we understand it's a mindset. At the same time, we have to think well in order to move well and to eat well and to sleep well with all the infirm difficulties, illnesses, and so forth. What about physical activity? How important is that? Talk about how important it is to motivate people to be physically active.
It's genetic. It's a genetic necessity to exercise. And we need to exercise every day. Rena used to walk every day. She'd walk up and down the street, not far, but back and forth, and to say hello to her neighbors. My mother used.
So maybe it's not exercise. Maybe it's movement.
Well, that's part of exercise.
Yeah.
It's any kind of movement. It's very, very important. You can swing a golf club in your backyard, not necessarily hitting golf balls, but you can if you want. My mother-in-law had a 19th hole here in her home, and people will come and swing golf balls. Swing a club. You don't necessarily have to hit it. You can just stand there and pivot and move your arms and get you. The thing about exercise is you need sustained rhythmic exercise every day, at least for 30 minutes. Walking is your best exercise to maintain that number. And my wife and I walk around our property. We walk around the streets. We drive a mile up the road. Walking a dog is not the greatest because they got to stop and sniff and lift their leg and do all those things. So it's not sustained rhythmic exercise. It is exercise, but it's not. You want to get that cardiac rhythm going and get that blood moving through your body. That's really, really what's important.
I find that mindset is so important about that in terms of, well, I can't exercise, but you can walk around the block. That counts. And oftentimes the social connection.
I'm saying
activity.
We're exercising now. We're exercising our lips. We're exercising our brains. We're exercising our smile. Our blood's pumping through everything in our body by doing what we're doing. And so talking is an exercise, but you're not moving the rest of your body. So every part of your body should be moved at least once or twice a day, and to some extent, keep it up there. The Surgeon General says you got to walk and not be able to talk without panting to the person next to you if you walk with somebody else. You want to get that rhythm going. So that's just part of it. But there's all kinds of exercise. Yoga is a wonderful exercise. Pilates saved me after a car accident. It just brought me back from the dead to the life, to being alive. So there's
more and more people are talking about how important meditation combined with exercise can be. So when someone goes out for that walk, they can have an empty mind, or they can savor the beauty. They can meditate on something that's positive, because a lot of people in fitness and exercise are saying, work in before you work out. Keep that mind as healthy as you can.
I advocate meditating at least once a day, and just or more, just to clear your brain and go into your inner child. That's your subconscious brain. And it's got good childhood memories in it, and it's got some that aren't so good. So you want to focus on the good and bring that nascent curiosity forward, bring that love of life forward that we forget about, because when we start growing up, we've got all these social mores and rules and things we need to abide by that compress our thinking into one line, instead of having a network of thoughts that bring good thoughts to us.
Well, I have so many questions, JC. I don't know where we are with the break, but
let me ask one right before the break. So you just talked about holistics, not just medicine, but holistic, bringing all this in mind, body, and soul. And a lot of folks probably listening like, okay, you guys talking about holistic medicine, meditate, and all that. That's not the traditional doctor. But I believe that all of those are so important to an extent, which is going to help formulate the way we think, our body, how it adjusts to certain things. It'll help us out from a mindset perspective. It'll also educate us on some of the foods that we need to do, because it just cannot just be all exercise. It have to be, I call it the 3-part. In your mind, You have to be able to feed that. Your body, you have to have the right nutrition. And you as an individual have to be able to have the right thoughts and be in the right environment. And so real quickly, Dr. E, can you touch on that? We got about a minute before the break.
Yeah, and all that involves validity, JC. You need validity from yourself, and some people need it from other people in order to feel that youthfulness, that being young, because maybe that's not the way we look to other people. I advocate eating less fats, less sugars, at least some protein, because you need that to build your muscles. I advocate fresh vegetables if you can get it, organic vegetables if you can afford it. Grow your own food. I grow some of my own food here, and I always have since a kid. Since I was a kid, I was gardening, and I think it's great to be able to do that. And those are things left over from my youth, and things I try to nurture now in my life. And I've turned my wife on to growing vegetables and fruits and things that we can eat and know that there's no poison in them, because you never know. You never know what you're buying. That's important to inspect the things that you eat. We are what we eat, basically.
We are what we eat. On that note, we got to take a station break. But we're going to come back, and as you see, these two great doctors are really putting it down. If you want to be part of the conversation, regardless what platform, whether you're watching on E360 television, YouTube, LinkedIn, over 55 other live streaming networks, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching this on, ask any question that you might have. I promise you, between the three of us, we'll get you an answer. Remember, it's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break. Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be honored to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I'll tell you this topic that we're talking about today. To me is so important because age is just a number, and we're talking 306 degrees of health, and I just noticed that Einstein is here to join us in this conversation. Kind of caught me off guard a little bit, but this is absolutely wonderful, and we're gonna pick it up right there, Doc.
There you go. Hey, whoever you are, you're a youngster with us today in a book I was reading called A New Wrinkle, written by some fellow named Dr. Eric Shapira. I don't know what happened. He was a guest of ours here recently. He has a great quote. Listen to this. He says, the senility prayer. The senility prayer. God, grant me the senility to forget the people I never liked anyway, the good fortune to run into the ones that I do, and the eyesight to tell the difference. Page 209, written by someone named Eric Shapira. I don't think he wrote that, but I have a question. The Surgeon General of the United States tells us that the great pandemic today is loneliness. And when it comes to loneliness, especially for people who are alone, who are older folks, who may not be able to get around as easily, that really can be a killer. So from the perspective of the wisdom that you've gained during the break here, tell us about how important social health is for aging health.
Everything. I'm taking this off.
Oh boy, let's take ours off too, JC.
Okay.
If I can get it off.
It's Susan to help you. Okay. Oh, look who's back.
My metamorphosis, if we think it, we are it.
Yeah. Okay.
And your question, there's a lot of stigma in our society about everything.
Yeah.
And the issue is we don't have to believe it. A lot of people don't. They don't believe things that are told to them. I think it's important to maintain your sense of youth. That's a key thing. Think young, be young. Tell me the last part of your question again, Michael.
So from your book, you talked about the senility prayer. Give me the strength, to be away from people. We know that the Surgeon General tells us that loneliness is a great pandemic in our society, and he's promoting social connection, but especially for people who are older, alone, can't get out and about, feel that they have nothing to contribute. No one's going to want to be with me. I can't. What about social interaction, what I call social health?
Number one,
healthier aging.
Number one is to stay social. I don't care if it's going to a lecture. If you're feeling lonely, go sit in the library with other people. Be around other people. Surround yourself with animals. I know people that collect animals, and that's their social support. And why do you think there's assistance dogs in the world? I mean, I have had several clients and patients with assistance dog that kept them living to the 90s until they couldn't remember that it was their dog or not. I actually inherited one, and it took to my mother, who I took care of for 10 years in our home. And we both took care of her until she got so bad that we had to put her in a memory facility because we couldn't handle everything that needed to be taken care of. But that dog's name was Harry. He was a little Chewini. He was smart as a whip. He turned people in a 180 degree slant when he was around them. I'm actually writing a book about him to teach people coping skills about dementia. And the funny thing about my mom is she'd go to the senior center. They'd pick her up in a bus, and she didn't want to go. We told her, it would be a lot of fun, and we took her there, and they were playing bingo. That's all that did it for her, to get her to keep coming, and a nice lunch, healthy food, and she was socializing, being around other people. But she told people that she slept with Harry. She got off on that, and she never told him it was a dog, and it was a kick. It was a kick and a half to hear that from her. But she had a good sense of humor, even with dementia, and this is what kept the mental degradation down. Being social, being part of the main rather than being isolated. So even if you took a student in to read for them if they were blind, and I had patients of mine do this that were depressed, and one lady in specifics, I don't know if I ever talked about this with you before, but she felt guilty. Her husband committed suicide. She blamed herself. It wasn't her fault, actually. And so I had to give her a sense of purpose. That's incredibly important. And I had a patient with MS whose hands were like this. She couldn't open or close a book. She couldn't brush her teeth. She couldn't do anything for herself. And I had this woman go and read her books. And she had a lot of trepidation, but it changed 2 lives, not just one,
Right.
by her doing that. So you need a sense of purpose and something to do, and you need to be in the mainstream. That means be with other people. Even if I'll walk into the grocery store and I'll say hello to everybody I see, and I don't know any of them.
The key to all of this, of course, is before, like, we can sit here and say it's important to be social. It's important to be, excuse me for just one moment. One moment, please. It's important to be social. It's important to have meaning. But unless someone's mind gets over the belief, I can't be social, I have nothing to offer, I can't get there, they have all these rules. You alluded to that earlier and before we took a break. We have to get past believing rigidly and in a very rigid, demanding, inflexible way. Life can be different if I want it to be. And if we don't attack that first, then we sit in our home.
You need to break the stigma. Somehow, some way, either through counseling or someone who you love and respect and trust to come in and slowly, it's a process, slowly turn you over a new leaf by introducing you to someone who might need you or need your knowledge. There's ways to do it.
Yeah. So much of this is that changing from a rigid, inflexible way of looking at life.
Well, they don't feel useful. I think that's a sense of purpose. You need to feel useful. I mean, what good am I if I can't do anything?
But even the belief, I am not useful. I should be more useful.
Yeah.
Hey, let me show you how useful you can be. When you smile at somebody, go to Starbucks. When you smile at somebody, guess what? You're helping somebody. You're useful.
You change the day.
Exactly.
Absolutely. You need to give your gifts away. That's what I tell people. Give your gifts away, no matter what they are. Your smile, your words, your actions. Those are really, really important. And to stay positive about things. Your life will change.
I think what we're saying is that every human being has a gift. I don't care whether you're impoverished or you're the wealthiest or this or that. We all have a gift.
And that gift, I believe, is purpose. However, each one of us has that gift that you're talking about, Dr. Mantell. And each one of us has that purpose already within. The challenge that we have is we have to be able to search our inner self and discover. I'm a believer, God. I believe I'm a true believer in that, me and Michelle. But we also believe that no one is going to give you anything. No one is going to do these things for you. You have to first discover who you are within. And that purpose is there. You were born with it, I believe. But it's easy to determine a person well, I can't do this. Me, myself, and I share this with you two guys. I probably lived about 11, 12 different lives, right? I tell you what, I was a stand-up comedian, I was an actor, military, diplomat, all of these business owners, just boom, 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 boom. It took me 50 years to discover what my purpose was. And it was always there, but I was looking in other places trying to find it until one day, I was just talking to some people or just, that. And it hit me that you're a communicator. You're a speaker. You are this guy that's going to light the fire in many people that you come across just by being you, so you discover that. And once you discover that, this might not make any sense. I ain't gonna go too far. And you start believing in that. Next thing you know, you're a pro. Mm-hmm. Everybody ain't no pro. I mean, the day, Dr. E, the day that you became a pro. You already know that, Dr. Mantell. You know that day when you became a pro. When each one of us know that because we have a sense of purpose. And a lot of these things, and you mentioned, Dr. E, about experience. It's not age also contribute to experience. And experience, and the older we get, it's still just a number. I hope I didn't carry on too, but God planted that on my heart to share that with you. We got 1 minute before the break. Dr. Mike, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, no, I think that what you just expressed from your heart is so important. I tell my clients, don't go looking for your purpose. It's there. Don't go looking for happiness. It's here. Think about it like this. The day you were born, he decided the world needed you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been born. It's my belief. It may sound cheesy and childish, but believe me, it's carried me through a lot. And I think to myself every day, what's my gift going to be to the world today? How can I display kindness today? That's for me what I'm all about. And what am I waiting for? What am I waiting for? Let's do it now. But that takes a hell of a mindset to get to. And I think what Dr. Shapira says in his books and in his lectures and taking care of patients is to bring that gift of kindness and help and healing and everything else that you do as a healer, Dr. Shapira, give it away. Give it away. You can lift people and leave them feel better. And what a day you've had if you do that.
That's true.
Hold that thought, Dr. Shapira. We're going to take a real quick break this time. And I want to get back and I want to get your thoughts. So we need at least 3 hours between the three of us doing all this stuff. And we're going to make it happen. But I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and we're going to get Dr. E. Shapira. We're going to get his take on this. And if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is go to the platform that you want to ask any questions that you have. We'll get you an answer. Yes, your life. We'll see you shortly.
Fight again. And if you want my opinion, I'll let it take me away. Only relief is the four on the floor and the crowd that goes, turn it up.
Wow, welcome back to Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James. It's cool with my co-host here, Dr. Mike Mantell, and our absolutely fantastic guest, Dr. Eric Shapira. And I tell you, when you're having fun, time passes by real fast. And it's so much that we want to cover today, but we're not going to be able to do it. And I want these two guys to stick around for at least after the show, at least a minute after the show, because I got another suggestion. But I want to get back. We got a better part of 4 minutes left in the show. And Dr. E, I want to give you an opportunity to address what Dr. Mike and I were just talking about right before we went to the break, and get your thoughts on that.
Well, I put this hat on for a purpose. I don't know if you can read it. Aging is the ultimate exercise.
Right.
And there's 7 rules of life right here. I'm gonna read them to you, okay? Because it's hard to see this thing.
Okay.
Real quick. Time heals everything. Thinking about a bad day yesterday, ignore them. Give it time. Never ruin a good day. Live a life that's empowering to you. It's very important. That last thing I read, I don't know how many I read, but those things are important in the scheme of things. It's important to stay positive. I really feel in the face of adversity, Michael's accident, I fell down some stairs the other day. Thank goodness I'm still limber. I had some judo training, which really helped me in the fall, so I didn't break my neck. I missed a step. Go figure. But I think it's, I'm looking at these examples. Rena, the lady that used to make food for everybody, grew her own food. A woman named Greer I met many years ago. They're all past now, but they're part of me. And that's another thing to look at. Parts of people you've imbibed over the years that have instilled in you a sense of wonder, a sense of joy, a sense of learning, a sense of being together, a sense of helping other people. Greer was an artist and a poet. She nurtured me with those things because she knew that I liked them. I wrote a book of poetry. I never published it, but I wrote a poetry. And in my new Wrinkle book, I have a lot of my poems that were spur of the moment, just thoughts that came out. Another man who was, and all these people were in their 90s, except for Rena, she was in her hundreds, and my grandmother. This gentleman was an inventor. He kept inventing new things. He looked for needs and he wanted to fill them. These are things that bring out who you are and things you can share with other people to make yourself useful and make you appreciated. My grandmother loved cooking. There wasn't anything she couldn't cook, and her recipes you couldn't duplicate. I have some of them. Pardon the French, I've bastardized them to make them my own, but they still taste like my grandmother's to some sense. My mother didn't like the fact that I used some seasonings and things, herbs, mostly herbs. She was a purist. And my mother volunteered as a gray lady in a veterans hospital for years and taught me through example what I've become today. So those are things. So look at positive things in other people that you want for yourself, and it doesn't hurt to take a little bit of that and make yourself whole. It's like a sculpture that's kind of broken and fallen apart to some extent when we age. So take those pieces that you have imbibed from other people and fill the gaps.
And we have to fill the gaps, and I tell you, we're out of time right now, but I tell you what, I want you guys to stick around for at least a minute. So, wow, this has been so incredible. It exceeded every expectation I had. I know Dr. Mike already knew it was going to be this way. I did too.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being with us.
I want to thank both of you guys for taking the time to come on the show today. Just like I said, stick around. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another absolutely outstanding show. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners for tuning into the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Always, always remember to dream big, think big, and be big at everything that you do. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Yes, your life will see you.